Welcome back to a best of 3 series of professional StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a Zerg versus Protoss, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on good old Oceanborn, it looks like. Spawning right here in the bottom right hand corner. We have the number 1 player from the United States of America with the red Protoss pieces. We're looking at none other than Astrea's main Nexus. His opponent in the far top left, playing with the blue Zerg drones from South Korea, we're looking at none other than Rouge's main base. I think that's how you... Oh, it's Rogue. Oh, it's... Okay. I see a lot of people write Rouge, however. Anyways. I actually had a weird thing a couple days ago. I had Rogue's Liquipedia page open, and for some reason, I looked at the word Rogue for like 30 seconds, and it just got really strange to me. For some reason, I was starting to wonder whether or not it was spelled correctly. So I kind of understand the confusion. I should look up the origins of the word rogue in English. Especially with certain fonts, it does look a little bit funny. Anyways, what would be the Dutch version of the word rogue? Let me see. What would we call this in Dutch? Een schurk. We could be calling him schurk instead. Now, I understand that is a little bit of a difficult word to pronounce. Schurk. Schurk. Yeah, maybe, okay, maybe a rogue is easier, huh? Alrighty, let's see. Astrea, of course, very well known for his Astrea strategies. And maybe as of today, also the Astrea wall-offs. Because what in the world is this? What are we even looking at right now? We have a pylon as part of the wall-off. Now, that's something Hero likes to do. But then normally, we at the very least complete the majority of the wall with the Cybercore. But that's not what we're doing either. I wonder if Rogue is looking at this, or Schurk. I wonder if Schurk is looking at this and he's thinking, yo, maybe this is attackable? It's not really. Honestly, it's this weird thing right now for Zerg players where all of the early game aggression would be holdable for the Protoss. But at the same time, when you look at a wall like this as the Zerg, my fingers immediately hover over the Baneling Nest button. Right? I want to immediately send the Banelings towards the other side of the map. Maybe a cheeky little Roach all-in. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter where these Protoss structures go in 2024. Because most of the build orders from the Zerg, most of the early game aggression at the very least, will just get shut down anyways. Even the Zerglings right now, link speed or not, they decide to go back home. Alrighty, so Probe's gonna figure out what's happening. What is Rogue up to? Can we at least scout a third hatch? We do, and that's gonna make life a little bit more comfortable. He decided to keep the very first Adept at home because he didn't know exactly where the Zerglings went. But the very first Oracle will be heading straight across the map, more than likely. We'll probably see a Nexus building here in just a moment as well, which means that this base is wide open though. That pylon, I don't think it's within range to wall off right over here. So you would need another pylon. But if you put down one pylon, there should still be 2x2 squares left over. Just no, it's okay. Never mind. Yeah, this is ugly. Normally that pylon would go over here. Why is it, right, after all these years of StarCraft 2, that Protoss players in 2024 have decided to forget how to wall in? I think it's on purpose. I don't want to, like, think about it too hard because it breaks my head. But for some reason, Protoss players at the highest level have purposely been walling in worse over the last 3 months or so. And it's weird because they've always walled in the same way. Now you can't build a shield battery over at the third Nexus, or at least not yet. Alright, well, you will get 4 easy drone kills, it seems. Twilight Council on the back of it. It's just an interesting development. That seems entirely unnecessary. With no real upsides. Alrighty, so, Twilight Council will be going straight into the blink. No Forge yet. I'm expecting a Forge in just a moment, but we'll have to see. Oracle activates its pulsar beam, but immediately deactivates it. The other Oracle managed to get out from the northern corner of the map. It's going to be flying all the way back home, it seems. Lair coming up together with an Evolution Chamber. Judging off of the timing of this should be +1 missile. Yep. Roach Warren here as well. Lair is about maybe 25% or so of the way done right now for the Zerg. Maybe a little bit more at this point. All of this is looking very, very normal. Okay. Forge coming up. Yeah, I guess the one advantage over here is that you can delay your second gateway for a bit. So that would be one of the advantages, that you can delay your second gateway for a little while. Not sure if you would want to, but I guess it creates the option for you to go ahead and do so. Either that or you just want to try and throw a couple of curveballs, right? Maybe just bait out the possibility for your opponent to go for an early game push while transitioning towards a Stargate. Anyways, there's the +1 coming up as well. 4th Nexus building at the 6 o'clock position. This time around, we do have that classic combination of structures. 3rd Nexus a little bit exposed, but Probe should be okay together with that shield battery. And in the meantime, the Stalkers are still going to town, trying to clear out a bunch of that creep. It is indeed, by the way, the +1 missile research here for Rogue, who's gonna now go into the Hydralisk Den as well. Templar Archives. Charge on the back of this. This will be a pretty committed push, I would imagine, here from Astrea. Currently sitting at 69 probes, that's quite nice. But if he wants to go for a committed push in a couple minutes, he should not be losing any units here for now. I think this is okay, though, for the Protoss. Yep, nicely done. Already warping in reinforcement. Or reinforcements. Now we're gonna wall in over here as well, over at the 3rd. And ultimately, this looks like it's leading towards an Archon push. Either that, or we could go into this charge. Yeah, okay, we could go into the charge upgrade and just use it whenever we need to. And transition towards a couple High Templar. That means Zerg, though, is left on their own for quite a while longer. Always scares me a little bit, but apparently Astrea, not too worried about it all. But by the time he gets Storm, Zerg will be very close to transitioning towards Lurkers. So Hive coming up right now together with a Lurker Den. 2nd Evolution Chamber as well in the natural. +2 missile starts up. Early game has been going really, really well right here for the Protoss player, but ultimately, if he does not try to capitalize on it, those advantages are mostly meaningless. Rogue is gonna happily continue drawing up. He's trying to almost turtle on 4 bases right now, and he's gonna go into Lurkers here eventually. Now, usually it's that first big timing attack where Protoss finds themselves in a really nice position. Now, this is still, of course, before Lurkers are done. It's a relatively tight window, but Storm is finished. We have a couple of robo facilities now building over at the 3rd base. And this is actually Astrea just playing a very confident game. Most of the time we see a little bit of urgency in the way that Protoss players approach this matchup. But Astrea does not feel the need to really be too aggressive. No, he's going double robo, going into a fleet beacon, powers up the Immortals, goes into the +1 air. He is not really too concerned with early game aggression, not really too concerned apparently either with mid game aggression, as we transition straight towards late game. Okay. A bold play right here from Astrea. But word on the StarCraft street has it that this situation has indeed become a lot better for Protoss over the last couple of months. Zerg players complaining. I know. Insanity. Alright, Mothership, yeah. So this is actually a very quick Mama ship. Considering this is like a very normal macro game, normally we don't see a fleet beacon transition until a couple bits of aggression, right? Maybe an adept push or... Wait, he canceled it and then restarted it immediately. Alright, nice. Probably wanted to spend his resources elsewhere. Anyways, it is gonna get scouted here by Rogue. But ultimately, as far as like macro games go, this is about the fastest Mothership you're gonna see. Nidus Network coming up. Spire also building. There is finally a little bit of aggression on the right side of the map. Rogue, by the way, historically considered to be one of the very best late game players for Zerg. No cancel right there from Astrea. Quite brave here from the American Protoss to try and just play a straight up macro game that skips the early game, skips the late game, and goes, well, skip the mid game as well, rather, and goes straight into the late game. Double Spire building for Rogue. Why does it seem to be Rogue every single time lately? Every time I see Rogue, he's playing late game. Yeah. Happily approaching the game to go the distance, apparently. We have an attempted Zergling run by here, but none of the pushes here from the Zerg have been particularly successful. We had one kill on a Nexus, but that's really about it. Look at the losses right here on the side of the Zerg. Considering Protoss has been economically ahead for the majority of all of this, I don't love that for Rogue, and it looks like he's actually gonna lose another base here. Although, really? That was ugly. Don't know why the High Templar came in. Don't know why the Zealots didn't finish off the hatch. A little bit of panic, I guess. While we do have a push over here on the right side of the map as well with the majority of the Protoss army, there's a Nidus Worm coming up inside of the main base. What seemed to be a very passive game is suddenly action all over the map. Rather than going home, the mothership is going to be used for the base defense. Okay. Obviously, it could use cloaking, I guess, to stay to keep everything alive over here regardless. Lurkers moving forward to that base at the bottom of the map. Astrea still trying to find value with his army down. Okay. Well, he's actually getting a really good hit in. The High Templar clumped up. They do decide to split up there eventually. Most of the Lurkers at this point are gone. There's still a little bit of energy available on those Oracles for Revelation. Fight at the bottom of the map, though, is going to get cleaned up here too, but not without quite a few of the probes going down. Immortals over here are really actually putting in a ton of work as well. Okay. I'm a little afraid for the Zerg Remax here. Astrea certainly sticking around on the map for quite a while. Decides to march back home, right as all of those Hydras pop out. Yeah. Rogue thinking the same thing. He's got a phenomenal army made up out of Hydras and Corruptors. One of the best unit compositions in the game. Is he going to be able to kill this base? We're going to try and use Caustic Spray for it. And this is one of those situations where sometimes Protoss players, Zerg players as well, forget that the Corruptor even has that ability. That hatchery, for some reason, escapes with its life once again. Okay, so, big picture, where are we at? I think this game is still playable, actually, for both sides. 13 minutes in, neither side is really very far ahead. It's just that this Protoss army is really scary. Do we have storms? We certainly do. Interceptors are all fully deployed. There's Mama showing up as well. Looks like the mirrored location, the hatchery on the other side, it will stay alive. This Nexus also, with low HP, will be available for a bit longer. Okay, so Astrea managed to get all of his army units in one big ball, and it looks like he's managed to corner the entire Zerg army too. This is before we get any Vipers, before we get any Infestors. Is there enough for Protoss to just stomp all over this Zerg? He needs to have detection over here to actually see those Lurkers. There's an Observer nearby, but I guess if you don't have any ground units left over at the end of this, it's also okay. Why are we not bringing the Observer a little bit closer? I guess we don't really need it. There's still Lurkers underneath, but the Mothership activating the cloaking ability after all the Overseers have disappeared, it's gonna allow Astrea to get a bit of damage done. He's now gonna notice, yeah, that there were still Lurkers available. I don't think he could tell earlier. Okay, reinforcing Zerg units, though, are popping out. The last of the Lurkers has disappeared. In the meantime, there is a Zergling run by at the bottom of the map, but battery overcharged together with a photon cannon and I guess one Zealot. Well, we'll at the very least be able to buy a lot of time. One hatchery for the Zerg has already gone down. I think a second one is not going to be too far behind. Lovely play here from Astrea. Yeah. Normally it's the Zerg players that try to create these chaotic situations. And more often than not, it's the Zerg players that pull out ahead as well after those, here we go again on that Nexus. After those circumstances, but apparently Astrea is looking at this, is like, yo, I am more than happy to play the Chaos game with you. Another Nexus will restart immediately. The Caustic Spray ability has a relatively long cooldown, so the Corruptors will not be able to just restart that again. Hatchery on the left side will finally be picked off, and that means that in, I guess, about a minute worth of total time, Rogue is down 3 bases. GG. Site Delta. Second game in this best of 3 series. Very nice to see Astrea doing so well. And actually playing a very confident game. So the North American server is very well known for their North American strategies. And in the StarCraft community, yeah, in case you're unfamiliar, sometimes that's considered to be a bit of a meme. You have beautiful sayings like going full NA and NA strats and whatever else, right? You have a lot of variety and a lot of different flavors. And Astrea definitely is somebody who can cook up some strange Protoss build orders. He's done that many times. But in the previous game, he played a very normal strat. Other than, I guess, the walling off, right? The walling off, I mean, I joked about that a little bit, but that is something we see all the time as well from, for example, Hero. And he's considered to be either the #1 or the #2 Protoss in the world, right? He does that all the time as well, so can't really criticize Astrea all too much for that, and there are maybe some small advantages to it too. But other than that, right, he played a very stock standard game and outplayed Rogue. That's essentially what it came down to. Rogue was trying to do that thing that Zerg players like to do where they pull the Protoss attention into a lot of different angles, right? They try to create loads of notifications on the minimap. Nidus Worm here, a couple lurkers down south, Zergling run by another one of the bases. And Astrea just calmly addressed all of it, and then ultimately shoved forward with his main army and won the battle. I guess if we have to be very critical, he didn't quite realize that there were still a bunch of lurkers left over. So in that main fight, he ended up losing more High Templar and probably 2 Archons and Immortals or so. More than he really needed to. But, I mean, ultimately his army just won that battle, right? Couple of beauty errors, maybe. Small bits of improvements that can still be made, but ultimately Astrea just, yeah, destroyed Rogue. So let's see. There's even a word on the street right now that Protoss versus Terran is Protoss' favorite. I've seen some Terran players getting angry on the internet. Yeah, Terran players getting angry on the internet? I know. Unheard of. That normally never happens. Okay, no, that's actually the default. Yeah, no, I lied. That's been the go-to for a long time. But not even just players on the Battle.net forums. Like, actual pro gamers have been getting quite upset with the PvT meta. Then again, though, you gotta always take the pro gamers with a grain of salt whenever they're discussing balance, because most of them are quite biased. The grass is always greener on the other side. Although there was that famous statement a couple months ago from Hero that he thought that Protoss was, quote-unquote, perfectly balanced. He said with a big smile that he thought that Protoss was perfectly balanced, which I guess may also give you a bit of information. Anyways, we're still not really seeing Protoss win premier tournaments. So until that happens consistently, I don't think we really should be passing any real judgment. It's all fun and games until Cyril starts playing tournaments and wins. Alrighty, so Twilight Council together with a Forge. It's once again been a little bit of Adept Oracle shenanigans over here. We have a couple drones going down, a couple Adepts going down, 5 Links also down the drain. But there's the lair. We should see a Roach Warren as well, unless Rogue is feeling greedy. Ooh. The latest timing for a Roach Warren is usually when the lair is about like a third of the way done. That way the lair will finish. Okay, yeah. It will finish right at the same time as the Roach Warren, so you can go straight into the lair Roach upgrades. Glial Reconstitution, the Roach speed upgrade in particular, very important. And there's also the Evo Chamber. So this will just be +1 together with Roach speed. Adepts trying to be annoying. Oracle's forced to tiptoe around. And there's once again the good old charge. Now this is a little different than the previous game. This is Astrea going straight charge. So rather than going into Blink Stalkers and trying to clear out creep with that, he's using those adepts from earlier right now for the exact same mission. This is actually a relatively minor change that they made to StarCraft 2 years ago. Once upon a time, the Oracle's Revelation ability lasted twice as long, but was also twice as energy expensive. And these days, it doesn't last very long. I think it's like 15 seconds or so. So the Revelation needs to be reapplied constantly on units. But it's really nice when you're trying to deny creep spread. So obviously, if you can use the spell more frequently, it means that the Oracles don't have to commit so much to trying to clear out creep. That's something we have seen a lot more over the last few months. Protoss players happy to go triple Oracle and not actually deal a ton of damage with them. Not very divey with their... Is that a word? They're not diving with their Oracle so deep. But they're conserving energy to be able to snipe some of the creep tumors as well, which is kind of nice. Ooh, a couple sentries over here at the front. Archons are going to finish. Battery overcharged just in case, though. Alright. Here's the charge. We've got 8 gateways very soon as well. Still no Nexus, and that should give Rogue a lot of information. Since there is still no Nexus over here, this has to be some sort of push. This is a fake probe, dude. No way. I wouldn't believe this here. If I was Rogue, I think you want to be making non-stop army, and he has been for some time already. There is a prism. Okay, it just spawned. Second robo coming up. We have 8 gateways in total right now. This is all a little disjointed. Astrea's got a lot of money in the bank. I think he missed a warp in here or something, which makes this push kind of I don't know. I've got a feeling that this push will be easily held. Yeah, if you're falling behind with these attacks, I think it's better to just give up on it. There's just no way you're gonna win this engagement. He wants to juggle to keep these units alive. Now the Zerglings are coming around too. Archons and Sentries are the most important units to save. Don't tell the Adepts, don't tell the Zealots. But they have indeed just made their way back home. But this is still a little awkward. 4th Nexus is building right now. It's about 1/3 of the way done. Nice stasis ward here. He needs to buy time. Like, Rogue at this point is like 60 supply up. Protoss is going to be in a really good position in about a minute or two. But staying alive until then is tough. He finally spent his bank, so that's good. Prism at this point is still around as well. I think the juggling will be critical. Those roaches just popped out of their... Ooh, just popped out of their stasis. Nice little bit of micro here by Astrea, trying to mitigate as much of this damage here from the Zerg as possible. Not a lot of micro potential for the Zerg here in general. He's trying to stutter step and micro on top of individual Immortals. Now the 3rd Immortal is here, though. And even though all of the expensive units other than the Immortals have disappeared, I think this is going to be enough. Very important hold right here for Astrea. This has been a bit of a clumsier early game. But I think he might be okay. The fact that he actually started up the Storm upgrade in the middle of all of that is really nice to see. The High Templar don't currently have energy for Storm yet. Maybe one of them will, actually. Gonna be close. Important pickup juggling here once again from the American Protoss. Probes are pulled away as well from their mineral lines. The High Templar are being juggled right now as well as they're desperately trying to throw water balloons. Yeah, the Immortals are the most important targets here to keep alive. So even though we did see a bunch of Archons going on and a Templar as well, all of the Immortals lived. And they're ultimately amazing when it comes to pushing away those Zerg units. That was a sick hold right there from Astrea. He was like, what, 60 supply behind? Look at this. It's a bit of a nosedive right here. A roller coaster for the Zerg army size. And in the meantime, actually, that 4th Nexus lived during all of it. I don't know if Rogue realized that it was already there. He could have split off a few units, but I think he believed he could just shove for the victory, because that Archon Zealot push just went horribly wrong. I think that was mostly just one of the injects missed. There's no way you're gonna break through this. Storm? Okay. No opportunity for that, but... Ooh, okay. Rogue's gonna make a Swarm Host transition. That is a dangerous play. It's almost a desperate play right here from Rogue. Generally speaking, Swarm Hosts are really good when Protoss has less than 100 army supply or so. Astrea is already close to that. Plus, he's got Psionic Storm done. And one Storm on a bunch of those Locusts as they're still in the air, and a lot of them will die before they ever deal any damage. That first wave of the Swarm Host is probably gonna be game deciding. That ability has a very long cooldown. I think we're gonna see Astrea basically immediately counterattack. Either that or he could sit back and wait for a few waves, but I think he's gonna instantly counter. Okay, here's the Locust. Very conservative launch as well. This is the first time though Astrea's gonna see it. Stasis ward over here. Storm, hello? Okay, good storm. Very good storms. He decides to manually land it, but that stasis ward, oh my god. He's still playing with the Diva announcer, which is really the only criticism that I have of the way that Astrea is playing this game. Those stasis wards have been incredibly valuable. We're all out of minerals, but there's plenty of rocks. Oh, lovely. That was my Diva impression. Pretty good. Honestly, sick play. How many Immortals do we have? 14. 14 Immortals. Storm? Yeah. We're even gonna go Fleet Beacon again. I love the confidence, Astrea. Astrea obviously also qualified for the Esports World Cup. Rogue is not. But I think that's mostly due to the fact that Rogue was spending most of the competitive year in the military. He came back relatively recent. And... yeah, I think Astrea is playing a really good series. Wonderfully done. The attack that he did in this game was... I think he should have given up on it. Like, when he realized it wasn't going all too well, I think he should have given up on it. But anyways, he's gonna lose the 3rd Nexus right now. 3rd Hatchery for the Zerg is also gone. 5th base over here is gonna disappear in just a few seconds. We do have the Swarm Host at home to try and defend. Finally, a few of the Immortals are no longer immortal, but there's a lot of damage done. In the meantime, the Roach Ravager army trying their best. They do stop an entire warp-in of units. There's 11 Mutas coming. So Rogue is going from Roach Hydra into Roach Swarm Host into Mutas right now. There's the recall. The Immortals show up again. We do see a Storm. Apparently the Warp Prism, part of some collateral damage as well. 46 drones have just gone down. And you know what? That was only a that was only a small chunk right there of the Protoss ball. That is an ambitious play by Astrea, but I think even half of his army is gonna be good enough to destroy that Zerg force. Now it's Muta Swarm Host. Muta Swarm Host? That is not a unit composition. I mean, it is, in the strictest sense of the word. He has Blink, he's gonna have a Mothership, he's gonna have Storm. I mean, there's only one Archon available right now. Oh my god, if Rogue brings this back, I'm gonna lose my mind. He decides to go for 10 High Templar. Yeah, he's trying to go for Archons. The Mutas are just not good enough here, man. There's +1 shields as well. Oh! Okay, that's GG. Yeah. If you didn't know, Archons deal splash damage. Very well done right here by Astrea. He wins this series 2-0.